And yes, this is one of those impromptu lives. And you're live with me this morning. Welcome here. My name is Wendy Ulogi, and I'm called Africa's #1 parent coach. I'm the founder of the Intentional Parent Academy. So today, I'm going to be sharing with you something pretty very much interesting. And 7 things you should start doing immediately if your children hate books but love screen. So there was a research recently about screen. And there was somebody who was doing research how this generation, our generation was way smarter than this current generation. Now, research in neuroscience shows that fast-paced digital media triggers the brain dopamine reward pathways. So it gives children quick burst of pleasure. So naturally, your child is going to prefer to just have the screen than to have books. These days, you notice that the moment you give your child a book, the first thing, and then there is a screen, the first thing that happens is that your child will automatically have this affinity to the screen. Now, here are the things that I need you to note even before we start this conversation. By the way, if you have not shared this with anybody, you've not invited a family or a friend, do that now. Share this link, invite someone, tag somebody, because yes, it is about to go down. Now, screen media activates the brain reward system. Because of that, there was a study recently found that interactive media, games, short videos, high road, scrolling content, there's this continuous stimulation that it provides. So it makes it slower, it slows the activities, slows reading. So reading feels less rewarding. Now let me put it to you. Even for you, if I put a book now, I put a book now and I put a phone in front of you, you are most likely going to choose a phone for many people. And that's a thing. So it's not really just about children. Now, we've also noticed that excessive screen reduces frequency. So I was on the flight a few days ago from the islands, and I was moving from Seychelles to Addis, and I saw that it's a short trip, maybe like 3 hours, 4 hours trip, and I saw that everybody on that flight, their screen, almost everybody, had their screens on. And everybody was watching one thing or scrolling through the phone. There were only a few of us who had books. It dawned on me that books are no longer produce the kind of reward that you really want to actually give in quotes. Now, there was a research in the American Academy of Pediatrics that said that children who spend more than 2 to 3 hours daily on screen read less for pleasure than children with limited screen. Studies have shown that screen-heavy environment will replace time that would normally have spent for reading. So most of your children, if you watch now, are not really reading for pleasure. They are reading to pass exams. Now let me rewind it a little bit back so that this is not beginning to sound like it's about our children really. Most of us were not taught how to read or how to learn. So we're giving this idea that for you to learn, what you need to do is to just pass an exam. So for us, especially the millennials, for us, reading meant passing an exams. Now, our children are now in that generation where the people who raised them were raised as reading to be passing an exam. And then there is a screen. Are you understanding what's going on now? So now there's a screen and there is a lot of, issues everywhere. Now, reading for pleasure is one of the things that predicts academic success. A lot of us don't read for pleasure. Our children read for... Now, academic success is not passing an exam. FYI. Because I hear a lot of people actually say that academic success is not passing an exam. You can pass an exam and not particularly be successful. All right? So today, I want to show you 7 things that you can do to transition your child from screen addiction. I know that a lot of us don't like the word screen addiction, but most of our children are addicted to screen. All right? Most of us are even addicted to screen. So how do we transition our children from screen addiction to being able to actually use the screen intentionally? All right? Now, the screen is not in itself bad. Let's first of all talk about why children hate book but love screen. Number 1, screen gives you instant dopamine. Apps, games, and it's not just children. Video games. They are designed to reward the brain every few seconds. The color change, the sound play, something exciting always happens. So book require patience and imagination, while screens give instant stimulation. If you can see me, you can hear me, and you're here. Let me see you put in the comment section that you can see and hear me. Let me say you say hello right here in the comment section, because there's a lot that you're going to see and learn today that's going to change the way that you see conversations around this today. Now, screens require no mental effort. You know that for you to actually look at the screen and think it through, you don't really need any mental effort. All right? Hello, I can see all the hellos. Please put a hello in the comment section. Let me know that you're here. Hello, 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 hello to you too. Hello, hello, hello to you too. Shout out to you guys. Remember to share this link with someone. Put a hello, share it, ensure that somebody is coming to watch with you so that we can have an amazing time. Now, number 2, I said that screens require no mental effort. When a child watches a screen, the brain is mostly receiving information. But when a child reads, it requires the brain to imagine success. So the brain needs to imagine success. The brain needs to decode words. The brain needs to build meaning. The brain needs to stay focused. So that is much harder work, especially if a child is not trained to enjoy it. So a child is already not trained to enjoy reading. So screen will be very easy for the child to connect to. Number 3, screens move faster than a child's attention. Screens move faster than a child's attention. Fast-moving content trains your child's brain to expect constant change and excitement, right? So when the child opens a book, it feels slow and boring when you compare it with the screen. So a lot of the times, that's not what you want to see. What you want to actually see is something that is more exciting. Screen is very exciting. Highly exciting to say the least. So, of course, that happens all the time. So children are constantly in that place where they really, literally struggle. All right? And one of the things that you need to also understand is that because the screen is that way, that's always an excuse. So a child is rarely bored when they're on the screen. Have you noticed it? Rarely bored. So you see a child saying, I'm bored. All right? Oh, okay. So we need to resolve that. So sorry. Thank you for being patient. All right? So you find out that, the child is, there's a fast-moving content, of course, trains the child to want to, there's a lot of this thing happening in the brain of the child. So many children actually we prefer to be on the screen because it's easy. It's easy. It's easy. Now, let us, look at it from another angle. Number 4, many children were introduced to reading the wrong way. I don't know about you, but let me sample opinion in the comment section. How were you introduced to read? How were you introduced to read? Most of us were introduced to read 2-3 major points. Okay. 2-3 major points. All right. Sorry, give me a minute. We might have to, please check again. I think we're having a bit of a network glitch on one of our platforms. Are we good? Because it's showing that we're good here. Huh? We're good. All right, thank you. Now, okay, the profitable entrepreneur. I said, honestly, I can't remember. How were you actually introduced to it? I just want you to think it. There are 3 major ways children are introduced to read wrongly. Number 1, punishment. Punishment. And I'm going to explain. All right? Children were introduced to read via 3 ways. And one of the biggest reasons children grow up disliking books, and it's not the book itself. It's the emotional experience that these children have attached to reading. So when reading is introduced through pressure, punishment, somebody said I was introduced by force. That's it. Punishment or stress. The child's brain will associate book with negative emotions. So over time, the child doesn't just avoid reading. They emotionally resist reading. So, number 1 is punishment. You say things like, since you misbehave, go and read your book. No TV for you. Go and sit down and read your book. When this happens repeatedly, the brain of the child begins to connect to book with discipline and restriction. Now, instead of thinking, books are interesting, the brain begins to think, books are what I'm forced to do when I'm in trouble. You see? So naturally, the child will run towards the screen entertainment and run away from the book. Because the book is not entertaining, in quotes. Now, there's another way that reading was introduced to us. Reading as school pressure. Many of us, the only time we interacted with books were when we were preparing with exam, when we were doing homework, or when we were trying to avoid punishment from our teacher or from our parents. Now, reading becomes a survival task, not an activity to enjoy. So there's a research in educational psychology that shows that when learning activities are driven mainly by external pressure, children develop low intrinsic motivation. So that means you read only because you have to read, not because you want to read. They are 2 different things. So it's not because many of us don't want to read. So I tell you something very humorously. When people get into the inner circle, one of the things that you see happen, in the inner circle, parents get in and you tell them, oh, you are going to be reading. Parents actually have a problem with it. In fact, that's one of the biggest fights people resist. Of course, it's okay now. We others were readers. Others, are you in the house? Are you guys readers? Yes, we read. We read for a living. And that's what we do. That's part of our work. Right? But you remember that before joining the inner circle, for those of us who are in the academy, you find out that, in fact, some people sent me a message when we said, part of our curriculum is that you read. Some people will say, Coach, I will not, the problem I have with the academia, I love everything, but this reading part, I don't think I'm going to be able to survive. I told myself I will never read anything again after I have left, how do we even say it? After I've left the school, not even billboard. I hear that all the time. But over the time, over the years, we've been able to actually develop a culture in the inner circle. We read like our life depends on it because it actually does. But it's been something that we had to re-educate ourselves to do. Because most of us are coming from that place where our parents actually didn't give us the joy of reading. So last month we read a book called Raising the Lifelong Learner. Now, this is a book that I wrote. I began to realize at a certain point in time that our parents just told us to read. All right? Our parents just told us to read. They didn't really give us why we needed to read. So we just felt the why for them was you need to pass exam. So the moment you pass exams, that's it. Somebody said, I struggled to read for 3 years in the yard. I had to re-educate myself. It's now become a culture. You see? It's in the re-education. So once the pressure disappears, now what happens to us, right, is that once the pressure disappears, reading habit disappears too. But that's not how it's supposed to be. That's not how it's supposed to be. Now, number 3 where we were introduced to reading is we were introduced to reading as first homework. That was another common mistake. And when parents treat reading as an academic chore, read this chapter before you sleep. Finish this book before you play. You must read 1 hour a day without actually creating a structure to enjoy the system. So we have this free guide that is called the reading adventure, checklist. How do you make reading an adventure? How do you make reading an adventure? So the child begins to read as work. Now, even though the intention is good, when you are forcing your children to read without creating curiosity or creating enjoyment, it turns into mental labor. Now, the child begins to see reading as work. It's no longer discovery. So the child is working. Now, children fall in love with reading when the books are connecting. What do you do instead? Why not begin to connect the child to the book that they are reading? When a child sits beside a parent, listening to a story, laughing at the characters, imagining new words, the brain begins to associate book with pleasure and connection. That's why research says that children that are being read to at night, during bedtime stories, that their parents very consistent, actually have the joy of reading, because reading was looked at as something to imagine, to tell stories from, to bring laughter. So I have a set of twins, and both of them are turning 16 next month. Now, one of the beautiful things that they were able to get was the joy of being able to pick up a book on their own and read. Why? Because we started early. Now hear me. If you are a parent of a child that is less than 5, say yes in the comment section. I have good news for you. Your child is less than 5 and you're listening to me this morning. Just put a yes in the comment section for me. Put yes, 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 yes. Just keep typing your yes. Tag somebody too. I can see a lot of the yeses coming in. Just put a yes. Your child is less than 5. Put a yes. Why somebody putting no? I didn't say you should put no. This is what I have teenagers. Hold on, I'm coming to you. Hello, Coach Wolala. Hold on, I'm coming to you. If your child is less than 5, I have good news for you. The good news is you are blessed. Hearing this thing that I'm saying today, you won't understand it until your child becomes 12, 13, and all they know how to do is to pass an exam. I kid you not. These things are for real. So when I start to share what you should be doing instead of giving your child that screen, please pay attention. Let's go. Now, the truth many of us miss is that children hate books. It's not true. Children hate the stressful way books were introduced to them. Somebody help me put that in the comment section. Children hate the stressful way books were introduced to them. Most of us were so stressed with it. Children just hate the stressful way. Nobody hates books. Books are beautiful, Some of us drown ourselves inside book. If you just get on the love, you get it. Right? Now, another reason this also happens is that screens are emotionally easier. Screens are emotionally easier. Right? Thank you for putting that in the comment section. I see you guys. Screens are emotionally easier. A child will relax with a screen. You know that when you have a screen, a tablet or something, you just, put it, you swipe. They are emotionally easier. So, but with a book, you need to engage. You need to think. You need to engage. You need to think. You need to stay mentally present. So, if reading was never built as a habit, screen will always win. Screen will always win. For most of you, screen has even won you. How many of you can really sit and read a chapter of a book as a joy, not because you were forced? Is screen winning you? The brain has simply been trained to prefer stimulation over imagination. That's why your child has an affinity over screen. So the brain can be retrained. So what I'm teaching you today is that the brain can be retrained. One of the things that smart parents do very early is that they reduce passive screen time. They reduce passive screen time. You know that thing that you do, that a child is eating and screen is playing in the background. Background screen play. Who is guilty? You wake up in the morning, your TV is on. So I go to people's houses and I see the screen just playing. Nobody's really watching it, though. Yeah. So nobody's really watching it, right? The screen is just playing. Maybe it's even CNN news. And you have toddlers. And you're like, it's not really anything. But the screen is constantly playing. There's something that it's doing in that environment. That screen is training your child without you knowing that it's training your child. There's a stimulation going on in that environment that even you are not aware of. So, that passive screen time is a killer of your parenting. The screen time that you can't really account for. Oh, some of you come to me and say, my children have screen time. They only watch TV Friday to Saturday. But the TV is on around them other days. That's passive screen time. Yes, it's not for them. Yes, they are not watching it, but it's on. Around them, there are things that are playing. There are, things happening around them. There are, one or two stuff around them happening. And it looks okay. But what you don't know is that you are creating the brain that will prefer entertainment instead of imagination. So, the screen is just on the way. You know how it is. On the way, just. And sometimes a child is eating food. And let me even shock you. Sometimes it's even, you are playing music, but the screen is on. I know that a lot of people, this is going to hit you hard. You're playing music, but your screen is on. You say, no, it's, some people will say, no, it's just music. A child can listen, they can listen to music, but there are flashes. So the problem is not just the content of the screen. The problem is the screen and what it does to the brain. That's how it's built. Am I ruffling somebody? So all those, we just wake up in the morning, we just play music, screen is on. That's passive screen time. That's what it is. Thank you, Coach Omolala. Passive screen time is like being a secondary smoker. You're not smoking, but you are around people inhaling the smoke. So the child is consuming it. It doesn't matter whether it is that you are actually doing it or... So passive screen time is more dangerous. And it's happening every day in our homes. He said, no, when I wake up in the morning, what plays in our house is Al Jazeera. What plays in our house is, what's it called? Salman's videos. Yeah, I understand the fact that you want to actually listen to those things. But if you have children less than 7, something is going to be happening to their brain. You're going to be rewiring that brain. Children learn it by environment. Children don't learn loving reading by instruction. They learn it by environment. Somebody help me put that in the comment section. Children don't learn to read by instruction. They learn to read by environment. Please, everybody should get this book. Everybody should get this book to read. Because you actually, we need, it's available on Amazon, it's available everywhere. I wrote about this a lot. Time will not even allow me to actually dig deeper into this conversation. Okay? So if you're not following our books page, one of the things that you need to do is to just follow the page, get our books, and be able to order this book. So all those instructions you're dishing out, it is environment that trains them. So do you have the environment that creates entertainment without you intentionally creating entertainment? See, there is a major flaw in our parenting when it comes to entertainment. Entertainment is taking the front seat and actually making a mess of our processing. So children, and now you think it's by giving them instructions, they will listen to what you're saying, but the environment is not helping the child. It's Coach Omolola that will say that you have a house and you do not have a library in it. The environment is already mentoring the child out of their love for imagination and their love for creativity. This is very important. So you see this happening over and over and over again. So it's not just shouting, "Oh, I've done everything." No. So in many homes today, entertainment is leading the culture of our house. And it's quietly shaping how children think, how they learn, how they spend their time. Now, the problem is that you give the instructions, read your book, focus on your homework, stop playing, go and study. But the environment the child is living in is teaching the child the opposite. The television is always on. The tablet is always available. You have 3 sitting rooms. I went to a house. 3 sitting rooms. Everywhere massive. Not one library. Not one library. 2 guest houses. Not one library. According to Coach Omolola, is your house a hotel? Your house is supposed to be primarily a place where your children learn and become. But for most of us, our houses, our homes are entertainment fields. That's why you think is a thing of wealth to have TV in your children's room. Well done. Television inside the room. So the television is always on. The tablet is always there. Phones are constantly in everybody's hands. The environment of the child lives is teaching the opposite. So the child is being mentored by the environment, not by instruction. Children begin to grow into primarily by what they are told. They grow by what surrounds them. What they are told is neither here nor there. What surrounds them. If a child grows up in a home where there are screens everywhere, entertainment is constant, books rarely visible, the environment silently teaches that child that entertainment is priority of life. Have you not noticed that we are more drawn to entertainment than to things that we will learn? How many people are on this call listening to me? A few. But if this was an entertainment skit going on, you would have been sharing this thing and inviting your friends and say, come and see how this person is making this joke. See brain jota, hey. Because entertainment is more attractive. That's how our brain has been groomed. How many of you have shared this? But if it was entertainment, you would have shared it severally and tagged people severally. So it's not just about our children, it's also about us and how we see learning as well. So learning, you are not, there's no affinity to learning, really. Your affinity is to entertainment. So there are no, you don't pay. For instance, tell a parent to buy a book. The parent gives all the excuses on why the book should not be bought. Tell a parent to take a child to a cinema and buy shawarma. Or more, the parent is out there. Shawarma done and dusted. Even post it. Went to see that movie. The moment a movie drops today, your child is watching it in the cinema. Because for you, it's like a reward. Let me reward my children. Do you know the books that drop the series when they are dropping? Do you know them? You don't. So your children take priority because of the way that the environment is carved. So we are more, there's an affinity to entertainment. Do you know that I was reading a survey on the use of internet, the internet use, and Africa was ranking low on data on internet use. They were like, but our entertainment industry is, they say it's entertainment. Entertainment is 1% of what data should require. What? Meanwhile, our entertainment industry is so heavy. Heavy. It ranks less than 1% of what is required when it comes to transformation that should happen with innovation. So we don't have innovation. We don't have innovation. So innovation, that's why we don't have innovation. So our internet use is still very minimal in the world view. In the world view. So, which people is on the internet. No, doing what is the question? Doing what? Doing what? Like I said, how many of us have been able to share this link? To invite someone to come and watch? Because it's not entertainment. It's something that you need to think about. Your brain will need to work. So why invite someone when it's not entertainment? It's not exciting. Like I often say humorously, but risky is life. You're going to share. It's something to laugh about. You don't need to think. Hey, look at him. Hey, it's very this. Hey. No, you can't process anything. And it's okay. Because you're not tasking the brain. And the brain loves it. Funny enough. So we create an environment that mentors our children that are not able to actually think. Now, when you imagine the opposite, a home there where they were littered with books. I grew up in a home where books was littered in every place. I read everything an African author wrote. The Chinua Achebes, the Furus, the Flower Mappers. Because every corner in our home had books. All sorts. I know so much about the Biafra War. It's as if I lived in that time. Why? Because I saw myself in an environment where those things were. Books were everywhere. My parents read regularly. Regularly. My mom would go to the market and buy her remaining money. I saw my mom use money to buy book when there's money remaining in the... So, when people buy extra clothes or something, I can't relate. I was raised by very simple parents. So I can't relate. My newspaper came to my house every day. How my parents did it, I don't know. These people were civil servants. They were just normal civil servants, comfortable. They were senior civil servants, yes. My dad was a principal. My mom was a senior civil servant. Yeah. But it was, they had 5 children. Newspapers constantly in our home. There were stories shared. I know the stories of where I'm coming from so well that you would think I lived in that time. I know the stories of how my family started, my great-grandmother, and all of that. Curiosity was celebrated. Now, that environment mentored me into imagination, into thinking, into creativity. I remember that when my husband was raised by a professor. So, of course, he says growing up, there was encyclopedia everywhere. There were books everywhere. Till today, you go to my father-in-law's place, there are always books. He's always reading. So it was easy for us to connect. That when our children started to grow, all we needed to do was to place books. Do you know? There's something that I call silence and deliberate modeling. When you are able to do it, your child will naturally love to, read book. That's the truth. And, thank you so much, Guided Beginnings. That's why 3% of the population will be on a fly. The question is, which percent do you want to belong and recreate yourself and your family? When you enter, I have a library in my office. When they were designing my office and, putting the space, I was like, I can't be in a space without a library. It's like a dead place. When there's no library, it's a mortuary that exists. I once had a parent who said to me, I love the way your children speak, read their English languages. I love the things that happen and all of that. Today, the twins both of them, they do so well in English that they are among the top 3 English students in their school. And they're science students. Their English is so good. Why? When we started, we would buy books. People used to laugh at us. We would travel. You know how you travel for vacation? We have 2 boxes full of books while we're coming back. When we open at immigration, they're like, is it book people went to buy? We say yes. We enter bookshops and our children sit down and they're excited about bookshop stops. I remember a parent reached out to me when we were in primary school. I was like, when the children were in primary school, I was like, okay, join me. There's a place we get to get novels, right? Maybe we can go there and you see the kind of novels that we get. So we get to this shop in Ebano. And then I go upstairs and I'll show her the books and where we're getting the books. The books were like 5,000. I can't even remember how much. And then we picked our series, the new ones that were out. And she looked at me in wonder. We had spent like 50-something thousand naira as at then. And she was just looking at me. And then she said to me, I can never spend 50-something thousand on books. Wow. It now dawned on me. She wasn't ready. And then she goes downstairs, the same shop, to buy a wig of 60-something. So you see, it is the choice that we make. It is a strange thing when a house has television in every room, multiple phone devices, gaming systems, but no library, no bookshop, no reading corner. Without realizing it, your home is training your children away from imagination. When a child is constantly entertained, the brain loses the habit of creating his own stories, creating his own pictures, and creating his own ideas. That's why we can't create. Are you getting me? That's why we can't create. And imagination is the foundation of creativity, is the foundation of problem solving, is the foundation of deep learning. Most of us missed it. So parents often think that parenting is about giving instructions. Parenting is designing the environment your child grows in. Somebody help me put that in the conversation. Parenting is designing the environment your child grows in. That is what parenting is. If the environment is dominated by entertainment, the child will grow into entertainment. If the environment is rich with ideas, books, and curiosity, the child will grow into thinking. Most of us can't think because of the kind of environment we have found ourselves. The environment is always mentoring your child, even when you are silent. Even when you're silent. So parenting is about designing the environment your child grows in. What kind of environment is your child growing in? What kind of environment are you curating for your child? That's the question I leave every one of you to answer. Environment is always a teacher. I remember that one of those times, we started Inner Circle. The Inner Circle program is our accountability annual system program where parents actually learn how to parent. Interesting, right? I know that when you're hearing it, some of you are hearing me for the first time. And you're listening to me, are wondering, people learn how to parent. Yes, don't kid yourself. Parenting is learned, heavily learned. If you don't learn it, you will miss it. You miss it. Recently, our children were told to write for the school. 2 of them were writing essay for the school. And, you know, the principal called my son and said, I hear that you are the Englishman with your sister. You are the English woman. Oh, yeah, you guys are going to represent the school and write. So my children were telling me how they were locked up. And then, you know, they wrote the essays and, you know, translated it to school and everything. And then when they came back and they were telling me this story, and I said, you guys need to come and give me tithes for making you guys. They were like, how did we even learn to become so good writing essays, writing comprehensions, and all of that? I'm like, it's just the environment. There was no teaching. Nobody sat down and said, this is how to write comprehension. The environment just trained. Hey, God. The environment just trained, all right, the whole system. And the children just internalize it. That's all you need. That's all you need. Curate the right environment and everything will change. But some of us are not ready to do that. If we say you need to buy books for your children, they're going to say, what kind of, they want to collect your money. Well done. No. The number of books we bought when our children were young can actually build a whole full library. Oh, the books in my home. It's, in fact, you can't relate. Because we spend money on personal development, on books. Our son was going to buy a book for his mentor. He was going to buy a birthday gift for a mentor. He said if there is no book in the birthday gift, it doesn't sit well. Nobody taught him. You don't need to teach it. You need to curate it. You're getting my point. You need to curate it. And that's why, you know, in the understanding your child's learning style, one of the things we are going to be teaching you is how do you curate the environment that gets your child to study on their own. I've never studied with my children. All this, oh, they are doing homework. I'm sitting, the child is writing an exam. Oh, I'm sitting down. I'm killing myself. Exam, I'm dying. No. I don't. My husband and I don't. Our children have always been able to actually steward their study processes. They've been in boarding school since year 1. Since year 1. So he's not even in primary school. So if you need to sit with your child to do homework, something is wrong. Quote me anytime, any day, and I will prove it. You're just scaffolding the child. There's a limit to how much you can scaffold the child. You can't scaffold the child into thinking. You can't scaffold the child into problem solving. You can only scaffold the child to pass an exam. That's all you can do. And passing an exam is not academic success. It's not academic success. It's not academic success. You can pass an exam and still be unsuccessful. Because passing an exam simply means a child was able to score enough marks to move forward. So he measured short-term, what's it called? Short-term memory, test taking strategies, the ability to reproduce information under pressure. That's it. If a child can cram, the child will pass, forget everything a week later. So academic success is much deeper. It reflects a child's ability. A child's ability to learn, to think, to apply knowledge, and to continue to grow intellectually. In educational psychology, we say that true academic success involves deep understanding concepts, critical thinking skills, problem-solving ability, curiosity and love for learning, long-term retention of knowledge. These are skills that actually help a child succeed in life, not just in school. That's why we have children who are 20-something, finish school, they are still reading, they are still eating food in your house. How do you guys do these things? Your child is 22, he has graduated. He's eating, we are feeding him. How do you feed an adult inside Tinubu's government? God. Inside Tinubu's government. Before you go home and say, oh, I just want to go and just buy a book. Do you know that if you buy any book, just by listening to me today, it will fail? I'll tell you why. The reason is simple. There is something you need to understand. My children don't read the same kind of books. No, they don't. They both don't read the same kind of books. And they are a set of twins, by the way. Their reading concept is different. until you understand how a child learns. You can't understand what it is I need to do with a child. No, you can't. You can't. You can't. So you just scout for the child just run. Graduate. I see these children. They graduate with 2-1, some with first class, and they're sitting at home looking for a job. How is it that? How did you succeed? They tell you that there's no job. There's no job. This is very important. So one of the things you want to begin to ask yourself is, do I know how my child learns? If you do not know how your child learns, you will not even know what they have affinity for. So somebody told me that they buy books, this thing I'm teaching, that there are books in their house, but that their children are not watching it, they are not reading it. I said, there is something wrong somewhere. You don't understand how your child learns. The moment you understand it, everything changes. Everything changes. All right? This is very important. The moment you understand it, everything will change. And then this parent started to understand how the child learned, understood that the child was a kinesthetic learner. So the parent started to buy cartoon-like kind of books. The child started to get affiliated, but there was another thing. The environment and the learning style will need to have a match. I'm going to be teaching this at the Understanding Your Child's Learning Style course. If you have not registered for that course, say yes. The team will reach out to you now and send you the details to be in that course. Trust me, that course is going to be a game changer for you. You know, part of the things that you're getting in that course, all right, the details of, what that course is going to give you is just amazing. There are worksheets, there are guides. This reading adventure guide, we are giving it free to everybody who registers for this course, all right? And you will be able to see all of the details, on whenever it is. Let me have it on Telegram, please. Whenever it is that you are, just put a yes. The moment you put a yes, somebody will reach out to you from the team and share with you all of the details to be in this class. Believe you me, there are lots and lots of things to learn that I will not be able to share with you. Now, we created a 50 home activity to teach difficult subjects. So recently, I shared about learning maths. A lot of people were like, the way you shared it is so simple and it's so true. Maths teachers reached out to me. Say this is actually so true. If you understand the concept of learning maths, believe you me, your child won't struggle. I struggled with mathematics. I was an A++ student who struggled with maths. Unbelievable. I made a C in maths. Meanwhile, I made an A1 in physics. So, it was unrelatable. Why am I making an A1 in physics and making a C in maths? I made an A in chemistry, in biology. But I struggled with maths all through my life. I barely passed. Why? The people who raised me didn't understand this concept. That mathematics is first learned at home. I understood it. My dad was a teacher, by the way, but of course, maths was not his strength. By the time that my children were toddlers, we fired up. My son does 98 in maths. So the other day, I was having a conversation with my daughter and her friends. I was like, who are the maths gurus in this place? I said, if you're an Indie. And I was like, and my daughter says to me, my daughter who scores 80-something in maths says to me that she's not a good math student. Come on now. Even me, I said, if I had made 70-something, I would have been the best math student ever. She's never scored anything less than a 70 in mathematics. Her son they both do further mathematics. Math is easy for them. Why? There is something that was done by the parent. See, you're a product of who raised you, how you were raised, where you were raised, and what the person who raised you know. It was so clear for me. My children could have still struggled, honestly speaking. But I understood that there are things you need to do from age 0 to 5. See, you don't raise a maths guru by hiring an extra maths teacher. When a child is struggling with a subject, extra doesn't solve the problem. I was listening to Coach Mololo on Tuesday live. If you've not listened to that class, you need to go on our YouTube channel and find it. Extra classes do not solve math problems. Quote me anywhere, any day. I did it. I did extra class. It helped me to pass. And that was it. And yet it didn't make me a good math student. No, it didn't. So I'm giving you 50 home activities to teach difficult subjects to your children. Home activities. You don't need any other thing. We've never hired a math. The only teacher, extra teacher we've ever hired in our lives is a music teacher. Our son is a school organist. He learned the piano at home. Do you know that teaching your child to learn musical instruments will give them a foundation in maths? There are too many things that you need to know. And when you know it, it becomes so easy. When people get into the inner circle, one of the first things that I say to them is sack your extra lesson teacher. I know that people will do extra. And if you're an extra is a teacher and you do extra lessons, there's a way to actually do it for you to be able to provide solution, not just collect money and let the child pass exams. You too need to come and learn the tactics. If you get it, a parent will pay you anything. There is a way. There's a way to these things. So those 50 home activities to teach difficult subjects, you're going to see that they're going to be able to do everyday things. Everyday things. Everyday things. As in the way you are able to do it, the way is going through and all of that. Everyday things, just working. So if you are here and you are listening to me, you are not yet registered in that class, understanding your child learning style course, put a yes. The team will share details with you. And that's not all. You're going to get 100 questions you must ask before choosing a school. You know, you think that when your child is ready for a school, you go and ask Mami Yabo's school, which school did Yabo go to? Yabo made 10 A's, and then you just carry your child one inside Mami Yabo's daughter's school. And because of that, that's the right school for your child. Do you know that a school is expensive doesn't make it right? I hope you know. A school that is less expensive might be the right school for your child. So you're going to get 100 questions you must ask before you choose a school for your child. Instagram. Before you choose a school for your child. So if you put a yes in any of the platform, people will reach out to you. All right? So I can see, okay, yes, on Instagram, all right? Let's do a response. Okay, so, you know, I've come to a place that it is 100 questions every parent must have before choosing a school. It's actually a book that we have. It sells for 3,000 naira, but we're going to give you free. Okay? We're going to give you free. And part of what we're doing is that we're, putting all of these, all of these things together to be able to help you to understand that, see, this just jumping and treating school like it's an everyday thing, just any school, you just jump in. When people ask me, why are your children in the kind of school they are in? Our reasons are solid. Extremely solid. Our children are going to the NSS2 currently. Extremely solid. Okay? So British curriculum, African American curriculum, Cambridge curriculum, now so it's not by like that. Somebody told me one time that the child is in curriculum of the all right, curriculum, whatever. And I was just laughing at the person. Your child living in Nigeria does not need British curriculum. Come closer. Let's talk about this one. Are you ready for this conversation? Your child doesn't really need British curriculum. They don't need American curriculum. They're just collecting your money. If you understand what true education is, then you will do everything to actually understand what you need to do for that child. This is very, very important. All right? When you put a yes, someone will reach out to you and respond. All right? In those spaces. Okay? And I think there are a lot of yeses on Instagram, and we need to be able to put all of those yeses. Thank you. Just put a yes if you want to be in that course, put a yes. Someone's going to respond to you and send you details to be in that class. Now, you also have access to a master class. We're going to give you access to a master class. Who am I parenting? If you are in the inner circle, you already understand what that means. So we want to be able to give you access to understand the person you're parenting in your, start, so that you will be able to actually help. You'll be able to actually help your child to learn. All right? So that's one thing that you want to do. All right? And then you also get learning style worksheet among many others. Learning style worksheet amongst many others. This is so important. All right? That you begin to put a lot of that in place and in perspective. The details, this thing is very simple. All right? What are even the subjects that your children are studying? What is it even about? All right? What is it even about? What do you know what it is that is really happening? Do you know what it is that is really happening? So it's important that, thank you so much, Coach Omola, subject pillars, they are the same everywhere. Whether in England, whether in UK, whether in Australia, it's the same thing. Same thing. But they will give you the name now. And then you come up and give you British, American curriculum, designers, whatever. Okay? So I need you to understand. All right? So this link doesn't work on Instagram. The link you dropped will not work, please. I need you to understand that when it comes to parenting and understanding your child's learning style, you will need to get to a point where you really want to learn exactly what to do. So, are you ready to understand exactly what to do? And if you're ready, trust me, this is your best bet. Let me quickly run through what it is that you will need to do. All right? Let me quickly run through what it is that you need to do as we begin to round off. And if you're listening to me, you still haven't registered for that class, I will encourage you to register today and to register now. All right? So just put a yes and the team will reach out to you and they will share all of the details with you. Now, we talked about children seeing reading as punishment. We talked about all the things that we're doing wrong about reading and all of that. Now, I want to just show you what can you do. What are these, 7 things you need to do. 7 things you need to do immediately. Number 1, reduce screen. Number 1, reduce screen. And if you've not put a yes, just put a yes. For those who are asking how would they register, put a yes. Someone will reach out to you, share with you the details on how you can reach out and register for the course, Understanding Your Child's Learning Style. Number 1 thing you want to do immediately is to reduce screen time gradually. You cannot compete with screens if they are always available. Start by creating clear screen boundaries. There's something that we have in the inner circle. We call it the media plan. If you do not have a media plan, it is going to backfire. So if you want a copy of the media plan, reach out to us, Books by Wendy Ologe, or just send us a DM, or look at our seller page. We have detailed process of how you're going to create a media plan in that system. All right? Number 2, read. Now, when you reduce screen, you find out that books automatically become more attractive. A parent asks me, what are the things that you need to say? Remove screens, replace them with books. Replace them with books. At a time, we had books in the toilet shelves. We had books everywhere. So it was easy. We don't need to chase our children to read a book. Why are you chasing a child? If you have to chase a child to read a book, that means that your process is wrong somewhere. Please get into this class and come and solve this problem once and for all. Put a yes, and somebody will reach out to you, and you will go through this course. Number 2, read with your child, not just to your child. And let me say this, very interestingly. If your child is in secondary school and still struggling, read to them. Read to them. All right? For those of us that are on Instagram, if you are having issues getting a TM, you can see the pinned post on our page, or you can look at our bio for details of that registration. Read with your child. Children enjoy reading more when it becomes a shared experience. So even if your child is struggling with reading, they are at a certain age and all of that, please read with them. Very important. Read with them. Read with them. Children enjoy reading more when you laugh, when they ask questions. Number 3, let your children choose their books. Now, let me say, you need to understand how a child learns for you to help a child choose the right book. And that's why you need this course. So that when your child is picking a comic book, it's not going to be a problem. That's why you need to, when children choose, there's an ownership that comes with it. So you need to actually understand what it is that the child needs. Then number 4, create a reading environment in your home. Stop building a mortuary. Build a library. A home without a library is like a mortuary, like I often say. Children read more in homes where books are visible and accessible. Make it visible. Buy books. Invest in books. And you know the interesting thing? Your children need to see you reading. We're getting there. No, let there be books everywhere. Your bedroom, your car, near the playground. Environment shapes behavior. Somebody help me put that in the comment section. Environment shapes behavior. Number 5, make reading fun. Don't make it punishment. Never say things like, since you have misbehaved, go upstairs, go and read. Don't say things like, oh, before you finish, since you have done it, go and read for the rest of the day. It teaches the child that books are punishment. Books should be linked to pleasure, to curiosity, and to discovery. Number 6, start with short reading times. Don't listen to this and say, oh, I want to force my children, they must read. No. Start small. Start small. One of the things you want to do is to consistency is what matters. You can actually get your children to start gradually. Gradually. Small as you are going. So start small. So don't just sit back and just say, oh, this thing is, my children are not going to, it's not going to be the same and all of that. Start where you are. That's something that we say in the yard a lot in the academy. Number 7, which is the most important, model reading yourself. How much you read. You know, our son was making a comment on me the other day, and he said, not when you have a mother who reads like life is running away. You just look at her and you just want to go and carry a book and read. I'm not forcing you to read. I'm not having to shout. I'm not having to. I just read. Because I find pleasure in reading. How much pleasure do you find in reading yourself? If your child never sees you reading, they assume reading is only for school. Did you get that? If your child never sees you reading, they will assume that reading is only for school. So let them see you reading books. Let them see you reading articles. Let them see you reading magazines. Do you know that my husband reads a lot of magazines, a lot of articles, a lot of researches. He was reading one of those researches about a particular thing, and my son said, I saw you reading this, and that's why I went to research about it. And I think I know more of it than you do. Children don't naturally hate books, remember. They simply love what their environment trains them to love. Change the environment, and you change the habit. Change the environment, and you will change the habit. And that's what you need. So instead of just complaining, my children don't like reading, find out what is it. And some of your children are A students who don't like reading. They just read for school, they pass exams, and that's it. You still have a problem. Your problem is as good as these other people's problem as well. So if your child hates books, they struggle with learning, they are losing focus easily, their problem is not the child. It is that you don't understand how the brain of the child works and how it learns. Join the Understanding Your Child's Learning Style course. In this session, you're going to learn why some children struggle to retain what they study. You will learn how to help your child start to love to learn again. You will learn the mistakes that you're making that is killing curiosity. You get practical tools that will support your child's natural learning style. You need to reserve your seats now. Every child has a learning pattern. And when parents understand it, everything changes. So you need to help your child to learn faster, to retain more, and to enjoy studying again. Children, your child is not lazy. Your child is not stubborn. You are teaching that child whose learning style you don't understand. That's why exactly we created the Understand Your Child's Learning Style course. So if you want to stop home battle you are fighting, why are you having high BP during homework? I can't relate. And I'm sure that many parents who are in academic cannot relate. Why is there a struggle because of homework? So if this is you, put a yes in the comment section. The team will share with you how you can actually register to be part of that class. That class is going to change your life. Trust me. Did you find value in this class today? If you did, put value, eye-opener, in the comment section. And if you have not registered for this course, put a yes. And the team will reach out to you now and share with you all of the details that you need to be in that class. That class will change your life. I'm not kidding you. Oh, I'm not. You know the interesting thing? That class will even change your own learning style yourself. So register today. Get 50 home activities to teach difficult subjects. Get replay of the previous module that is worth 35,000 naira. Get the 100 questions you must ask before choosing a school for your child, worth 3,000 naira. Get access to the Inner Circle Masterclass, Who Am I Parenting, worth 20,000 naira. Get access to Learning Style Worksheet, among many others. Just put a yes if you have not registered. Do you know the interesting thing? You get all of this for 14,999 instead of 35,500, which is the original fee that is changing in 24 hours. So all you need to do is say yes. The team will reach out to you, send you all of the details. You get into this class. There are 3 modules. If a free session sounds like this, just imagine what those 3 modules will sound like. Part of what we're doing, all right, part of what we're doing at the class is to also show you your struggles with your special needs child. So there is a class specifically for special needs. So if you have a child who is struggling with ADHD, autism, whatever it is, I'm going to show you what exactly you need to do with the child. That a child has ADHD does not mean that the child can't learn. It's attention deficiency hyperactivity disorder. So what do you do? It is in what you know. That the child is dyslexic doesn't mean that the child can't learn. I'm directionally dyslexic. Yes, I am. And I'm an A++ student. There are many dyslexia children who actually are highly intelligent. So it's not the special needs that is the autistic children who top their class. Oh yes, there are. Oh yes, there are. You just need to know what to do. And getting into this class, a whole full module, Dr. Malala is going to be taking that class. We'll be talking about just special needs. Do you know that an extremely smart child who struggles, who just struggles to keep up with, is a special needs child? Do you know how to manage that child? Do you really know how to manage that child? So put a yes, and you're going to learn things that you cannot even begin to imagine that you can learn. Trust me, this will be one of the best decisions you will make for your parent. If you have never been into any of our classes, I'm sure you might not be able to relate. But I am sure that this simple, short session will convince you that there is too much for you to see and for you to learn. Just put a yes in the comment section and we'll share all of the details. You pay 14,999 in the next 24 hours instead of 35,500, and you get all of this. 50 home activities to teach difficult subjects, replay of the previous module that is worth 35,500, 100 questions you must ask before you choose a school for your child, access to Inner Circle Masterclass, Who Am I Parenting, Learning Style Worksheet, among many other perks that you're going to get. If you really think of what it is that you're getting, you are not paying anything, because the previous class is already worth 35,500. You're getting the class for free. All we're asking is that for you to pay attention. Do you know that even your child who is smart in school, we will show you why that child will eventually not be able to win in life? That a child is smart doesn't necessarily mean the child will pass in life. See, first in class is not first in life. And that's why you see the children, the people who were in your class, who were tops of the class. But today, you see a lot of struggles with them. The people who are, like Robert Kiyosaki will say, why C students employ A students and B students work for government? Even if your children are teenagers already, trust me, you can rebuild this. I have many parents who have adult children in the academy. The oldest woman in the Inner Circle program, the Inner Circle program is our 1-year accountability program. If you want to join the Inner Circle, all right, just send us a message and put Inner Circle. I will share details with you. It's 1 year. It starts in December every year, but you can register now. Now, in that program, of the oldest woman there is 86 years, 82 years. Recently, I found a lot of grandparents. 77. My mom is there. My mom is 74. 77. My dad is 78. So, anybody can reparent themselves. Start with you. Just put a yes in the comment section. You will learn so much. You will learn so much that you'll be grateful for the day that you came across this class. I can assure you. And if this was valuable to you, ensure that you share with somebody and share the fire emojis in the comment section. Remember that parenting is learned. If you're hearing me for the first time, run into a parenting academy. We run one. Run in there so that you can understand what's happening. Parenting will run you off if you don't learn what it is that you need to do. All right? Can you share details with me also? Therapeutic nurse. Yes, we'll share details with you for Inner Circle and for the course. We will share all of that details. So if you put Inner Circle in the comment, we'll share details on Inner Circle too with you. All right? For those of us who actually, want, even children in the university, come and learn how to teach them to study, how to prepare exams. I'm telling you. Thank you, Coach Malala. How to answer questions. There are much more to this learning thing. All right? So yes, for those who are asking about Inner Circle, put Inner Circle in the comment. The team will reach out to you, and then they will share with you all of the details you need to actually be in the Inner Circle. All right? And then put all of that in the place. So somebody just says yes. See, being in a parenting academy gives you perspective you don't find elsewhere. I know you do not find it elsewhere. I tell you of the truth. I tell you, you don't find it elsewhere. So it's not just about, after all, our parents, they don't need to, there's a lot for us to improve on. So we can't do parenting the way that we know it. We must do parenting learned. We must learn this parenting because parenting requires that you sit and that you learn. Honestly, it requires that you sit and that you learn. All right? Remember, you can always send us a DM to ask any questions, all right, about joining the academy or about the course. But don't leave here without getting yourself, even if your children are in university. So my friend's daughter struggled with reading. She came out of her class and she was out, doing so well. But she didn't know how to read. She didn't know how to read to critically actually, use a book, read for herself. They had to go back and start reading and teaching her how to read. She took this course and it changed everything about what it is that she was doing. So don't scaffold your child. Don't sit down there and just tell yourself, I've heard this thing. It's not for my child. It's for you. No matter the age of your child, it is for you. Trust me. There's something for everybody right in the Intentional Parent Academy. My name is Wendy Ologi, and I'm called Africa's Best, Africa's #1 parent coach, and I'm the founder of the Intentional Parent Academy. The Intentional Parent Academy is an academy where we teach parents how to parent. We run an annual parenting program called the Inner Circle program, where you enter and you can never remain the same. You think you know parenting or you think you know life. When you get into the Inner Circle, your life changes completely. I kid you not. And we run short courses like the one that I'm talking about today, understanding your child's learning style, emotional intelligence and all of the rest. All you need to do is to put a yes, and we will put the details to you on how you can actually register. Thank you so much for joining me this early Friday morning. I enjoyed myself here, and I'm sure that you got value. Some of you have been here for the past 1 hour. Bravo. It means that you have won the war of entertainment. Shout out to you, Coach Omalala, founder of Autism Renewed. Dr. Malala is going to be teaching in one of the classes at the Understanding Your Child Learning Style. We have resources, we have people, we have things that will turn your mind and change your mind and tear it apart. Trust me, you can't miss it if you are in there. All right, Coach Malala has been in the inner circle for 8 years and still counting. All right, we're lifelong members. All right, and that's what parenting doesn't end. Parenting is forever. Hi, Favor. It's so good to see you here. Remember to share this link with a friend and family and get them to follow our page. Don't forget, there's too much resources to learn on this page, and don't miss it. Remember, you can still send us a message, all right, and for any of the resources that you want to get, okay, and be here. Thank you so much. Somebody said, Lapa said, I learned a lot. If you learned, I want to join in a circle. Yes, come in. We can't wait to have you. The next cohort starts on the 1st of December 2027. But let me tell you something. The slots are going. When you have over 10,000 parents in a community, what does that show you? It shows you that something great is happening in that community. Trust me, there's a soul tearing system happening there. How many churches do you see 10,000 people inside? Let's end it there. See you again when we come live. And hey, see you. And I'm so grateful that you came here today. Have an amazing day, everybody. And remember to share link with your family and friends. Thank you.